Hey everybody, Chad Taylor here. This is part 5 with the interview that I did with Rob Skiba. After reviewing the 4 segments of that interview, I realized there's a few questions that he asked me that I could have been a little bit more clear on. And so in this video, I want to bring some clarity to those questions that he asked me. Number 1 is, why did I use multiple Bible versions? And yes, like I mentioned in the interview, parallel Bibles have been very helpful for me to understand different versions. If you guys have no experience with parallel Bibles, I encourage you to check them out. So yes, it's helpful for Bible study, but also one big reason is I've seen people use this as an excuse where they say, well, yeah, the King James Version in a couple verses says this that could be construed a certain way. But no, not the other versions say that. Well, no, that is completely incorrect. My point with showing multiple verses from multiple versions was to show that every version I've ever seen consistently describes the earth in a particular way. And so that was my big point, is to show that it is not just one particular version that says any one thing, that it is every version that I've ever seen. And so that's why there is 3 of the most popular versions, as well as one popular one that I grew up with, and another very popular one. I think that made sense. Yeah, there's a total of 5 different Bible versions in the book. Check it out if you haven't seen it already. Another thing Rob said is that about it being a perfect coffee table book. And it's funny he mentioned that, and I didn't say this in the interview, but that's exactly what I was going for, is the kind of book that is big. Like, if you're not familiar with coffee table books, is they're typically very large and full of lots of images. They're the kind of books that you sit down at your doctor's office or dentist's office or whatever, and they're just big, and they take up a lot of your time. So when you're sitting in the waiting room, they're perfect for that. And they keep you interested and go, wow, I didn't know that about dolphins or about whatever. And so in my mind, that's exactly my point with this, is to make it to where you could set it at different places. And even towards the end of the book, I talk about that you can leave this at different places. You can leave it sitting on your dining room table. You can leave this in waiting rooms. You can leave this at restaurants. You can leave this wherever people are going to be sitting for long periods of time. I encourage people, if you want to promote this book and this topic, leaving copies here and there is a very good thing. If you can financially swing it without hurting yourself, it's a very good thing to be able to spread the word, in my opinion. Another question that he asked me is, how much do I get into the mechanics of how the earth works in the book? I must have misunderstood the question, because on reviewing it, I kind of went off on a tangent, I guess. I guess it depends on who you ask, how detailed it gets. To me, it's pretty darn detailed how I get into the mechanics of how the earth works. Now, we all have to understand there are certain things that we're never, ever, ever going to know. In this lifetime, there are some things you are not going to know about how the earth is, how it works, how it operates. However, I do believe we can have a very consistent, basic understanding of how everything works. And I believe all of those basic understandings are in the book. And a lot of those basic understandings go completely against what we are taught growing up. The windows of heaven, for instance, that's a pretty big basic understanding to know. And that completely goes against everything that we've ever grown up learning. So a lot of the mechanics I get into, but we all have to understand there are some things we can never know. But those things we can know, I believe, are explained really well in the book. Check it out if you haven't. All right, another question he asked me is, what am I doing to get the word out? And originally what I really felt like doing is just having the book available, putting it out there to the world, and then just letting it organically grow. You know, having some videos like this, but also just allowing the market and allowing people just like yourself to read it, to go, holy cow, this is incredible, and to share it with people. Just allowing people to spread the word on their own. And that is what I feel like I'm supposed to do, and kind of allow the organic growth and the word of mouth, especially. The person that's going to get the book, that's going to read it, that's going to go, wow, this is incredible. I'm allowing you to share with others. So there we go. Another question is, right in the beginning of the first segment of the interview, Rob asked me about my upbringing. And then I said something about, not really questioning things when I was younger, start questioning things when I was older. And I want to clarify a few things with that, because I don't want to make it sound like my parents did anything wrong or anything like that. And so, kind of a simple analogy, take it easy here, because I might touch on some nerves, but I'm not intending to. I want to help you understand what I'm getting at here. I'm willing to bet if you identify and you say I'm a Democrat, I'm willing to bet your parents were Democrats and your parents before them were probably Democrats. If you're Republican, I'm willing to bet your parents are most likely Republican and their parents were most likely Republican. The question is have you ever questioned why you believe or why you identify a certain way? Is it out of tradition that that's how you were raised and so therefore that's how you are? Or have you stopped to question why you say you are I am Democrat, I am Republican, I am whatever. It's the same thing where I grew up in a Ford household. My dad was a Ford mechanic. We drove Ford cars. Now, I think Ford cars are great, sure. But I know there's a lot of other great, cool vehicles out there besides just Fords. I used to say, I'm a Ford guy. I drive a Ford, whatever. Maybe you got to be from Montana. I don't know. But there's a lot cooler vehicles out there than just Ford. So getting to that point where you can start questioning things. What I meant by that in the first interview wasn't to badmouth my upbringing whatsoever. It's to just clarify, why did I believe certain things? And to, growing up in just your traditional basic church, why are certain things the way they are? Is what is taught on Sunday mornings the same thing we see in the Bible? Are we taught the way we're supposed to be? Are we really supposed to be doing certain traditions? Why do we do these things and those things? And just a matter of questioning things. And I'm not bad-mouthing or being disrespectful in any way, I don't feel. It's just, I think it's very important to get to the point where we can question why we believe certain things and not just go along because that's what we've always done. Not to be disrespectful, not to be rebellious. I think it's important to not be rebellious. Out of humility, start to question things. Why do I do these certain traditions? Understand that our parents did things probably the best way they knew how, but maybe there's certain things that they did or that were taught to us growing up that are not correct. Another thing I wanted to clarify was how in 2015, how I realized that I had been relying on my own strength and my own understandings with deciding what I was going to do for my family and how I was going to protect us and how we were going to survive and all those kind of things. And I'm sure a lot of you can relate to that. What I wanted to clarify on was that not the skills that I used weren't necessarily a bad thing. What I meant was keeping things in order, understanding God comes first, his understanding comes first, and if he wants to use my strengths and the gifts that he's given me to achieve certain things that he wants me to do, well, then it's great. It could be physical. It could be using some of those strengths that I have with training with different physical things. Maybe I got to do a double leg and take this guy down and do whatever. That could be something. Or it could be, you know what, Chad, I want you to go and drive your car that way. Don't go that way. But it's a matter of acknowledging him and letting him guide us. And he can use those strengths that we have, but he can also, when we're weak, he can be strong. And he can do things that we think, I'm going to be Mr. Tough Guy and I'm going to do things this way, which is absolutely one thing I realized I was doing, being Mr. Tough Guy. Whereas he could take Mr. Tough Guy and, you know what, you don't got to be tough. You can just go this way over here, do this or do that. But it's a matter of acknowledging him and not relying on your own strength, because the biggest, baddest dude out there can still be taken out by somebody texting and driving. Acknowledging him is number one. All right, the process of writing a book. So where are we? Earth according to the Bible. So June of 2015 until March 2016 was research. 2016, March until December of 2017 was working on the book while I was doing research at the same time. And I wanted it to be as professional as anything else you would see out there. That was my point, to give the absolute best I possibly could. And so it was a matter of just really diving into learning. And on YouTube, you can learn anything about anything from experts on the subject. There's experts on how to write books. There's experts on everything out there. So I encourage you, if you guys are looking into writing books, I think it's fabulous what you can do, but you have to be willing to learn. If you're not willing to learn, then I wouldn't even start, because you have to be able to learn. And so there was I think close to 10 different applications that I had to learn, programs that I had to learn. I can get into that some other time, but just being willing to learn. But then also I did have to start another publishing business to be able to put this book out there. Plus I want to put other things out there as well. And I named it Rustic Trail Productions LLC as the name of my business, because I'm not only going to put out this book, I'm going to put out future books most likely, but I also want to be able to put out audio, video, and other things as well, and pictures and things like that are all encompassed by a production business. So starting another business, don't be overwhelmed if that's what you guys would like to do, but just learn how to do it. I encourage everybody to be an entrepreneur. I'm a big fan of owning your own business, but not being overwhelmed by it. Yes, it's new, but it's worth it, in my opinion. If you guys really want to know what does the Bible say about Earth, in my opinion, I would stop farting around and I would get the book, because it is going to help you immensely, in my opinion. And I'm not saying that just to make a bunch of money. I'm telling you, I have a huge amount of time and research into this subject. If you were dead serious on learning, what does the Bible say about Earth? Does it say it's this? Does it say it's that? Or what does it say? If you want to understand what the basics of what the Bible says about Earth, I can't think of any better source to send you to than to this book. It has over 100 examples from the Bible with images of what does it say, What does the Bible say about Earth? So wherearewethebook.com. And again, if you guys have questions that you'd like me to answer, please put them in the comments below, and I will get to them as soon as possible. My name's Chad Taylor, wherearewethebook.com.